this very special series of my MBA journey. If you have been following my channel, you would be aware that I've already given GMAT. So while my GRE journey could look a little different to most GRE applicants, but rest assured, I will try to cover any sort of queries and I will try to cover as much ground as I possibly can in this video. So please stay tuned as I talk about my journey and my approach to GRE, which eventually landed me a score of 322, which the split of it was 164 in Quants and 158 in verbal. So yes, stay tuned. So before we deep dive into the schedule, I just wanted to run you through the pattern. For a very detailed explanation about GRE and the whole pattern, etc., I will link a video in the description box, which you can go and watch, where I talk in depth about the timeline, the sections, and how it works. But for the purpose of this specific video, I just want to explain the types of questions that come. So in verbal, you will be presented with 4 different types of questions, which is sentence equivalence, text completion, critical reasoning, and reading comprehension. In Quants, you will again be presented with 3 to 4 different types of questions, one being problem solving, numeric entry, graphical representation, which is, it's going to be a choose out of 4 out of 5, but it's a different type of question. And then will be pick between the two, compare the quantities, pick whether quantity A is bigger or quantity B is bigger. So that's just a very small gist of the types of questions that are presented in GRE. So now let's talk about how I prepped for GRE verbal. There are a couple of sources that I used, some of them being Top 1 Percentile, Greg Matt, and Manhattan 5-Pound Book. I want to talk about how exactly I used them, alright? Because they are not all the same and you have to be careful with understanding which prep material to pick for which part of your GRE. So first things first, let's address the elephant in the room, which is GRE vocabulary. It is very exhaustive. You need to know at least 1,000 words. I know it may sound very surprising and daunting, but you need to know you need to be at least exposed to these 1,000 words in order to be more confident in sitting for GRE. All right. So consistency is extremely important, and you need to do and revisit vocabulary every single day. How I prepped for vocab in GRE verbal is I used Top 1 Percentile's vocab list, which I found very exhaustive, very helpful. It has 7 lists of 150 words each, so approximately 1,000 words it covers, and I found it actually quite helpful. How I would go about it was, one day I would do, let's say, list 1 and finish that, then start list 2 the second day, while also revising on the second day or going back to the words I have done on the first day. Okay, and I went about it like that. Of course, as you complete more lists, you take more time to do vocab, and in the beginning of your prep, you might feel like you're spending a lot of time and you're investing a hell lot of time in just doing vocabulary, but trust me, it is an investment that will be worth your time. So please try to learn as many words as you can. It is going to help you. Once I finished all of the lists that were given, I then used to go back and every alternate day spend at least 2 to 3 hours and revise all of those words or revisit all of those words I have done. I know it may sound scary. I know a lot of people might not have 2 to 3 hours every alternate day. So what you could rather do is keep your weekends for revising all of the lists, okay? Because weekend is a time where you can dedicate 2 to 3 hours in the morning. So 2 days in a week, do all the lists together, and then every single day pick one list and revise that. You can also go about it that way, but it's very important. So in terms of practicing questions for text completion, reading comprehension and critical reasoning, I would suggest go to GRE Big Book, which are the actual official questions. They might be a little dated because they're old, but I would not suggest any third party for preparing any of these types of questions, because they just are not able to emulate the quality of these questions. Sentence equivalence, you might not find in the GRE Big Book because it's a newer edition. So for that, you're going to have to rely on Manhattan 5-pound book, or might have to exhaust your official material, which I would suggest not to do, and only do from official guides towards the end of your preparation, and I'll tell you why later. But these are the other materials that can be used to do your practice. Okay. In terms of where you can learn the concepts, I think GregMath is excellent for GRE. The way Greg teaches how to approach text completion and sentence equivalence is very good. It's immaculate. His approach, very logical. So I would suggest to please take his classes and his material to prep for the verbal section. Okay. So in terms of the number of questions, if you are going through GregMath, he provides a study schedule which can be used to solve X questions a day. If you're not following his study schedule, what you can do is dedicate 5 to 6 questions to be done every day from sentence correction and text completion each, 2 to 3 passages in reading comprehension, and 2 to 3 questions for critical reasoning. If you practice this much every day, you will have enough practice to cover the questions in the actual exam as well. All right. I think the one mistake people usually make here when they're preparing for GRE is they either rely on too much material that they don't get the sense of completion, or very less material that they just don't expose themselves to different kind of questions, which is why I mentioned before that it's very important to pick and choose carefully so you get just the right amount of preparation. So now let's talk about GRE Quants. If you are someone who needs preparation right from scratch, as I mentioned before, GregMath is pretty good for Quants as well. But I did not really go through everything with Greg with the way that his time schedule or his study schedule went, because I had done GMAT before. My base or in concepts was pretty strong already, and so I went straight to solving questions. And I picked out first Manhattan 5-pound book, which I found very helpful for Quants. I did not really find it extremely helpful for verbal, but for Quants, I did find it very helpful. So I went ahead and I solved almost every chapter in Manhattan 5-pound book. I solved the whole Quant section, including the diagnostic test and the 3 easy, medium, and difficult mock papers that it has towards the very end of the book. After I had exhausted that material, I went to official guides, solved the Quants book, solved the official guide, and I also looked for the paper tests and solved those paper tests as well. So any official material I have not left in Quants, and I have solved every single thing. So that is how you can go about your prep as well. At the end of the day, it's very important that you solve the official questions, the official papers, and everything. So don't miss out on solving from the official. So now when it comes to mock tests, I have to be honest, I took a lot of mock tests, and from all prep material, the official mocks were the closest. Before my exam, I had written an official mock and I had gotten a 320. When I actually wrote my paper, I got a 322. So of course, there was only a plus minus of 2 points from the official mock. It was the closest. What I would suggest again is when you are writing Manhattan's mock test, you need to take their verbal score with a pinch of salt, in the sense that it might be a little too easy if you just know the words, and also take their Quants score with a pinch of salt because it might be a little too difficult than actuality. So while Manhattan tests I found were very helpful, what is true of Manhattan is the sentence correction, equivalence and text completion questions. They are good enough to be solved if you know the words, but that is actually not a real reflection of the official paper, where you need to really understand the sentence to get the answer right. So I would say take the scores with a pinch of salt and only use them to gather and center yourself and sit through that whole approximately 2 hours of time and not take the scores very seriously. Okay, I actually purchased the Manhattan mocks. So there were 6 mocks and I'd given all of them, and I'd used the other test prep companies. I can link in the description below all of the mock tests that I used, and I did not take any of their scores seriously. They were just to kind of give me a glance of where I actually stood, because in every single one of those mocks I either found almost every test prep company lacking something. So when it comes to mocks, please only take seriously the score that you get in the official mock. I did not purchase any new mock. I just used the 2 free ones, the free versions, and that was about that. But by the time I used the official mocks, I had sat for enough mocks to know how to manage my time and to know what attitude I need to take when I'm giving the exam. And so it turned out just fine. And yes, with that we come to the end of this video. I have, in my best capability, tried to tell you guys everything that I used, and I will link all of these things in the description below, so don't worry about that.